All right, we got a free jersey, DeAndre Swift signed jersey. We're going to give that away when we hit 2,000 subscribers. We almost have 1,500, so we're getting closer. I'm just going to be talking a little bit about tier-based drafting, or getting into the tiers of this 2023 class and what it looks like to be right now. And why is this important at all? Well, the first reason why is it important is because when you have a tier-based drop, or when you have a tier drop, when you go from superstar to A to B, if you can get the end of a tier, you're just going to be saving yourself draft capital to try to move up. You're going to be saving yourself players that you potentially have to combine with other players, or players with picks to combine to move up to certain picks. For example, if you were in a previous draft, let's just say last year's draft, there was a clear kind of set of wide receivers that we thought that were in kind of one tier, and then we felt like there was a little bit of a drop off going into the tier 2, and then that tier 2 from tier 3 was a huge drop off. So if you were somebody that went from a Wan'Dale Robinson to a Jahan Dotson, from the tier 3 to tier 2, or a Tyquan Thornton, or a John Mechie, which unfortunately with the cancer stuff. But if you were going from tier 3 to tier 2, you could see the jump, the big jump, and you may not have had to pay all that price to get into that beginning of that tier. On the other hand, if you are the beginning of a tier, you can kind of have that fluctual, that ability to be able to move down and acquire more draft capital and give yourself some more dart throws. So again, we're going to get into it here. The first the tier here is tier 1, and it's a superstar tier, and it is the first overall pick. It is Bijan Robinson this year, and so Bijan Robinson is by far, in 100% of leagues, should be the number 1 overall pick. It doesn't matter if you're desperate need for quarterback, doesn't matter. Bijan Robinson. I mean, he's going to be a stud. CJ Stroud and Bryce Young are not quarterbacks into the Trevor Lawrence category or into the Joe Burrow category that would put him even close to Bijan. So really, it is Bijan tier number 1. And there's a drop-off to tier number 2. And this all depends if you are in Superflex or 1 QB. And that makes all the difference. So when I get questions, should I trade 102 for this, 103 for this? And you can put those below, by the way. You can put those questions below. But please put SF, Superflex, 1 QB, because it makes all the difference into the tiers. We're going to start with Superflex. Superflex right now has what looks to be 3, potentially 4 quarterbacks. You have Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, you have Bryce Young, and CJ Stroud. And so we really don't know where the draft capital, if it's going to keep all 4 of those quarterbacks, if they're going to be all within the top 10 picks, if they're all going to stay in there. And you have Jahmyr Gibbs, which is an absolute stud running back out of Alabama that is very Jamal Charles-esque and has great contact balance. So really you have 5 players. And I think you could easily put kind of those players into a tier. Now, a quarterback might drop off. A wide receiver, Jackson Smith-Njigba, might move into that tier. It's going to be very fluctuant. Quarterbacks are all about draft capital. And in Superflex, quarterbacks are king. And so you have to take some of these quarterbacks over some of these prospects that we even like more, potentially, in certain positions, like a Jackson Smith-Njigba. I love some JSN. But the problem is he's not a quarterback. And so to get yourself a adequate wide receiver is a lot easier than an adequate quarterback in Superflex. So, again, you have about 5 into tier 2. So 102 to, again, like 106-ish is 106, 107 is a tier. And then we get into the 108 to like I'm going to say 108 to 110. It's just going to be easy. It's going to be 3 players. It's going to be the wide receiver ones. And maybe some running backs filter into this, but right now it is going to be Jackson Smith-Njigba. It's going to be Quentin Johnston. It's going to be Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison I have above Quentin, but it's going to be those 3 wide receivers. And yeah, there's some other wide receivers I do like. Maybe they fit into that category. Maybe they don't. But right now I have those 3 wide receivers. Maybe one of the quarterbacks falls into that category. One of the wide receivers, they do a little flip-flop. Maybe some running backs. We have Zach Charbonnet. We have Zach Evans. We have, there's probably a good list of 7, 8 running backs that could get thrown into that category the next, I'm just going to call him Dameon Pierce because Dameon Pierce did that. He moved up tiers because of his situation, and I wouldn't say draft capital. I mean, he was a 4th-round pick, but you could get some of these running backs, or like a James Cook maybe. I could even say a better example because he was a 2nd-round pick. So right now, those are kind of your 3 category, and then beyond that, I'm just going to kind of say after early second, you're starting to look at some huge risks. So I'm going to say 203, 204. After that, you're looking again at a lot more dart throws and again players that I'm not super thrilled about. And this is just general. I mean, we'll kind of see what that cutoff is, but right now it's like 203, 204 is where I'm kind of going, oh man, this is going to start being really risky. And so I'm again starting to look at players that I would rather have from the previous classes. Or again, veteran players if I'm a contending team looking to compete for the championship in 2023. Now, in 1 QB, that starts to shrink even more. We start to even shrink that because those quarterbacks start moving away. The quarterbacks aren't in tier 2. In tier 2, you have Jahmyr Gibbs. He's basically by himself. So tier 1, Bijan. Tier 2, Jahmyr Gibbs. It should be 101, should be 102. And then you have the 3 wide receivers. In my opinion, is Jason. Then you have Addison. Then you get Quentin. So you get 1, 2, 3. So you have 3, 4, 5. That's kind of a tier, and maybe a running back sneaks into them. But right now, know that 106 to 112, you're probably going to have a couple of wide receivers, like a Josh Downs. You might have there's all sorts of different wide receivers that kind of fit into that tier 2, potentially move to tier 3 category. Or sorry, tier 3 going into tier 4 because wait. I gotta stop myself here. I forgot that Jahmyr Gibbs is tier 2 by himself. So tier 3 is the wide receivers. Tier 4 is this category where you're gonna have a lot of does Bryce Young fit into the end of the first? Does CJ Stroud fit into the end of the first? Does Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, a high upside type of quarterback? Do they all kind of fit into this? You're gonna have a huge tier 4, but again, that tier 4 is going to be kind of into that 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106. So 106 to 202. I'm fine with getting a 201, 202 at this point versus trying to reach and get a 106, 107. Now, the only thing that you don't get in 106, 107 is you don't get players that unfortunately draft dumb players ahead of your JSN, your Jackson Smith and Jigma, and move some of these players down. You don't get that unfortunate, look at, I have a tier 3 player that moved down into this tier 4. That's the only risk that you don't get. Or that's the only unfortunate benefit you don't get. But right now, I'm okay with collecting early seconds. I think that they're a lot easier to collect. When I'm talking early seconds in a 12 team, I'm talking 201, 202. I'm okay with doing that and potentially giving either 2024 capital or other capital. I'm okay with that because that kind of tier I feel like is going to be stretched. And it depends if you are desperate in need for a position, then you might have to move into that 111, 112 spot. So again, lots of strategy. Can't wait till we find some landing spots and we can really hammer out these tiers. There's so much influx right now. So I'll just keep watching video. You keep watching video, and we'll keep working along some of these rookies. And we have the biggest risers and biggest sellers the next couple of days here in Dynasty. And so we'll just Dynasty stock market, see where some of these players are going. Peace out. Take care.